On the album, you talk about one of your biggest regrets was not squashing out things with Pop.
Yeah,
That still sits with you to this day?
it do. It do because he was really my friend. So I walked to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grab me a knife and a fork, the blanket over my nose right here, my little black glasses on, and ride like this the whole flight, hoping one of them come with me so I could stab out everybody on this mother. We step off the plane. I'm like, Pac, you going to Vegas to the fight? I said, that's the last time I seen my live.
After nearly 30 years, Snoop Dogg has finally decided to spill what really went down between him and Tupac. And it's got the whole game talking. In a brand new tell-all interview, Snoop insists his hands are clean. He says the truth got twisted for years, painting him as the villain when he was really just caught in the chaos. But with so much damage already done, the big question remains: can peace still exist between those old ghosts of death row? The hip-hop world's seen plenty of feuds, but few ever hit as deep as the heartbreak between Snoop Dogg and Tupac Shakur. Now, as Snoop celebrates his 54th birthday in October 2025, a shocking Radar Online exclusive has reignited one of rap's most painful what-if stories. A brotherhood torn apart by jealousy, paranoia, and the dark energy surrounding Death Row Records.
That's my little homie. He spoke his mind. He said what he said, and like I said earlier, like, as an older guy, sometimes we don't have radar on what we doing. It was a repost from Gin and Juice that Who Kid sent.
Damn, Who Kid?
But it had that song in it. I don't even know what the fuck the song was. I just reposted on my shit because it's my brand. Then when I get wind of it, naturally, I reach out to nephew, let him know, my bad, I didn't mean that. And naturally, he responded the way he responded.
It all fell apart just days before Tupac's tragic death in September 1996. And that's what makes this story so haunting. These two weren't just label mates throwing down verses. They were brothers, real ones. Snoop and Pac came from the same world, the same struggles, the same codes of the street. They were comrades who carried the weight of fame while trying to stay authentic in an industry built on illusions. Together, they dropped classics like Two of America's Most Wanted off Tupac's All Eyes on Me album, a record that screamed West Coast unity while the East Coast-West Coast war was exploding. This was loyalty, fame, and danger all mixed into one explosive chapter of hip-hop history.
My uncle come upstairs and he say, Tupac is tripping. I'm like, what you mean? He said, he talked about you. I said, nah, you tripping. Nah, he ain't talking about me.
Things were boiling behind the scenes, and nobody saw it coming. Beneath the smiles, the studio sessions, and those slick public appearances, tension was building fast. What looked like brotherhood on the outside was quietly cracking underneath, setting the stage for one of the most heartbreaking fallouts in hip-hop. The truth? That tension was rooted in jealousy, and Snoop himself has openly admitted it over the years. When Tupac signed with Death Row Records in 1995, after Suge Knight bailed him out of prison, it looked like an act of loyalty. But behind the scenes, it was all business. That one move flipped the whole energy at the label. Snoop, who'd been Death Row's golden child ever since his 1993 debut, Doggy Style, dropped an insane 800,000 copies in its first week. Suddenly wasn't the main attraction anymore. Pac came in like a storm, wild, focused, and unstoppable. Tupac's hustle was unreal. The man recorded over 200 songs in less than a year. 200. His drive, his fire, his raw presence, it started to overshadow everyone around him, even Snoop. The whole label could feel the shift. Fans, execs, and even street teams started looking at Pac as the face of Death Row, and that energy didn't sit easy with everyone.
See, a big dog can get checked if it's by the right person, if he got the right intellect. There's nothing wrong with being properly put in place if you out of place. That's what's wrong with half of us, that we feel like the young generation can't tell us nothing. You used to be young too. And you had a mind and you had a spirit, and sometimes the young generation can teach the old dog a new trick if he's willing to listen.
Then came the moment that confirmed what many had whispered for years. In a 2025 interview on The Breakfast Club, Snoop laid it out. The jealousy was real. He didn't try to sugarcoat it or dodge the truth. That honesty gave fans a rare glimpse into what was really happening between two icons of the West Coast. But according to Napoleon, a member of Thigh Outlaws, Snoop's newfound openness might not be as genuine as it seems. In a 2023 interview, Napoleon claimed Snoop was jealous of Tupac stealing the spotlight when Pac joined Death Row. He even said Snoop couldn't bring himself to admit those feelings face to face. Instead, he waited years to air them in interviews. That revelation hit hard, making fans question whether Snoop's praise for Pac now is love or low-key guilt dressed up as tribute.
This time I go to the airport, my security walking with me, shook like, hold up, they can't roll. They got to catch a regular flight. First of all, Pac ain't said to me though from that moment on.
But everybody else has security.
Yeah.
Jealousy might have sparked the tension, but it doesn't explain how their brotherhood shattered in just a few days. How did two men who once called each other family end up on opposite sides of silence? The truth runs deeper. Their fallout came from something way bigger than ego or fame. It came from how differently they saw the East Coast-West Coast war, a feud that would soon swallow both Tupac and Biggie and leave hip-hop permanently scarred. After getting shot at Quad Studios in 1994, an ambush he blamed on Biggie and Puff Daddy, Tupac came out colder, sharper, and angrier than ever. That moment changed him forever. He went from a rebel with a cause to a soldier with a mission, ready to go to war for his name and his coast. Pac was militant, raw, and loud about it. To him, there was no middle ground. If you weren't with him, you were against him. His rhymes became weapons, and every track felt like a warning shot. Snoop, though, wasn't built for that type of hostility. He stayed calm, chill, and focused on keeping the peace. He didn't want to see artists killing each other over industry beefs. Instead, he kept things cool with Biggie and Puff, showing love instead of hate. He believed real men could disagree without blood being spilled, even when the streets demanded otherwise.
See, a big dog can get checked if it's by the right person, if you got the right intellect. There's nothing wrong with being properly put in place if you out of place. Because he was really my friend. And, you guys sometimes must be talking like they don't really know, but that was my friend and he was like dear to me.
But that difference in energy, peace versus war, tore them apart. It all came to a head in June 1996 when Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, the most savage diss track hip-hop had ever heard. He went straight for Biggie, Puff, and anyone in his path. Snoop later admitted he hated that song, telling Pac to his face, "It ain't cool." He knew it would only bring more violence and chaos to a culture already drowning in both. Everything came crashing down during one of the wildest plane rides in hip-hop history, a flight that turned fear into reality and sealed the cracks already forming inside Death Row Records. This wasn't just any trip. It was a moment that captured all the paranoia, mistrust, and danger that had taken over the label in its final chaotic days. It happened right after the 1996 MTV Video Music Awards, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. According to Snoop's retelling on Untold Stories of Hip Hop, it all started with one interview. During his sit-down with Angie Martinez, Snoop showed love to Biggie and Puff, saying he respected them, wanted to work with them, and wasn't trying to pick sides. He basically said he was cool with the East Coast, refusing to play into that fake Coast War the media and execs were pushing. But Tupac wasn't having it. Pac saw loyalty in black and white. No middle ground, no peace talk. That's when things started spiraling fast. Snoop got a call from Muda from The Outlaws, who said Pac wanted some weed. Simple enough, but Snoop felt the energy was off. The call was cold, short, and missing the warmth they used to share. Something had changed, and Snoop could feel it deep down. Later that night, things exploded at the club. Pac reportedly lost it. He snatched a Biggie record straight off the turntable and started wilding out, making it crystal clear that anyone not riding fully with him was against him. That rage was real, raw, loud, and dangerous.
It's a line of ownership. You understand what I'm saying? Teaching ownership through lyrics, because a lot of us make records, get our publishing up, and then we sell it. And then we think we did a good thing. And when you sell that, okay, if you get 100 million, what state you live in? Okay, knock off some taxes for that. Okay, how many family members you got?
But the real nightmare came the next day. The flight back to L.A. Snoop found himself on a private jet, surrounded by people he suddenly wasn't sure he could trust. No security, no protection, just tension and silence thick enough to choke on. It wasn't paranoia, it was survival mode. Snoop said he sat there, realizing he was deep in enemy territory, trapped thousands of feet in the air, praying he'd make it home alive. That flight wasn't just tense, it was survival mode. Snoop's instincts from the streets kicked in hard, the kind that tells you danger's right next to you even when no one's saying a word. For 5.5 hours, the air was thick with silence. Tupac and the crew talked around him like he didn't even exist. No eye contact, no acknowledgement, nothing. Just that cold feeling that the bond was broken and the love was gone. When the plane finally touched down, Snoop made one last move, one final try to fix what was left between them. But the damage ran too deep, and peace just wasn't in the cards anymore. Days later, on September 7th, 1996, tragedy struck. Tupac was gunned down in Las Vegas after the Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon fight. 6 days later, on September 13th at 4:03 p.m., he was gone. The world lost a legend, and Snoop was left carrying a lifetime of guilt that success could never wash away. Pac's death didn't just break hearts, It broke spirits. It left behind questions that would never be answered and pain that time refused to heal. Snoop's regret became a shadow that followed him everywhere, through every hit record, every interview, every tribute. Every time Pac's name came up, that wound ripped open all over again. When Snoop heard Pac had been shot, he raced to the University Medical Center in Vegas, desperate to see his brother one last time. He wasn't looking for fame or press. He just needed closure, a chance to say goodbye. But what he saw inside that hospital room changed him forever. On Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast in 2022, Snoop opened up about that devastating moment. He said he fainted as soon as he saw Tupac, hooked to machines, lifeless, his energy completely gone. When I walked in, I could just feel like he wasn't even there. We loved each other, Snoop said, his voice breaking even decades later. That pain still lives in his words, still raw and real. Proof that some wounds never fade, no matter how much fame, time, or money you have.
You did release your mind.
I went to the water, I was in the sky, me and Tupac was like 30 feet in the air.
In the middle of all that heartbreak, Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, became the rock holding everything together. She consoled Snoop through tears, telling him to stay strong and say his goodbyes. Even with her son fighting for his life, Afeni found the strength to comfort others. A mother's power in its purest form, but not everyone believes Snoop's version of what went down in that hospital room. Singer Danny Boy, who claimed to have been there, said flat out that Snoop never showed up. He called Snoop's story made up, questioning why he'd push a version of events that didn't line up with what others saw. That accusation lit up the rumor mill fast, especially once conspiracy theories about Tupac's death started spreading through the streets and the internet. Fans were divided, and whispers of betrayal grew louder with every retelling. Truth during the death row era was like smoke, impossible to grab, always shifting. Everyone had their own version of what really happened. Warren G., Snoop's stepbrother, once said Snoop's last-minute choice to skip the death row trip to Vegas might have saved his life. That twist made sense to some, but to others, it looked way too suspicious. Suge Knight, for one, wasn't buying the lucky timing story. From behind bars, Suge turned his collect call with Suge Knight podcast into a platform to keep firing shots at Snoop. Between 2023 and 2025, he repeatedly accused Snoop of being disloyal, even hinting that Snoop might have known something about what was coming in Vegas. Those words hit hard, keeping old wounds fresh and reigniting a storm that never really ended. Now, decades later, those accusations still hang in the air like ghosts that refuse to leave. No matter how much Snoop's achieved, the shadows of that night keep chasing him. Every time Sugi speaks, every time a new theory drops online, that pain and suspicion come roaring back, keeping Tupac's death and Snoop's name forever tangled in one of hip-hop's darkest mysteries. Suge Knight didn't just stir the pot, he set it on fire. His wildest claims accused Snoop of warning Thaw Dog Pound's Daz Dillinger not to roll with the death row crew to Vegas on September 7th, 1996, the very night Tupac was shot. According to Suge, Snoop supposedly told him something like, "Don't go out there, something's gonna happen." That one claim alone sent shockwaves through the culture. Suge never outright said Snoop had anything to do with the hit, but he danced dangerously close to that line, planting seeds of suspicion that fans still argue about today. Then things got even stranger. In a February 2025 interview, Suge dropped another bomb, claiming that singer Ray J once confided in him that Snoop bragged about putting money toward the hit on Tupac. That's right, Suge said Ray J told him Snoop contributed to the bread for the murder. Allegedly, this rumor blew up their friendship, with Suge warning Ray J never to bring up Pac in interviews again. Suge even claimed to have recorded phone calls where Ray J spilled all the details, but just like most of his stories, not a single recording has ever surfaced. After Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested in September 2023 for allegedly orchestrating Tupac's murder, Suge couldn't resist jumping back into the spotlight. He started throwing around fresh claims, this time accusing Snoop and others of secretly working to free Keefe D. Suge suggested Snoop was trying to bail him out to keep certain names from coming to light, hinting at a bigger cover-up that no one else could prove. But Snoop? He wasn't having it. His response came swift and calm. No rants, no shouting, just straight confidence. He hit Instagram and brushed it all off, posting, "This fool won't stop talking about me, mad 'cause I own death row." That one line said it all. Snoop's not losing sleep over a man doing 28 years for manslaughter. Most people see Suge's words for what they are, Bitter shots from a man with nothing left to lose and everything to gain from staying relevant. There's still zero credible evidence backing his claims, but Suge keeps the noise alive, knowing controversy gets clicks. Meanwhile, Snoop's sitting on top of the same empire that once tried to destroy him, owning Death Row Records, both literally and symbolically. What once nearly ended him has become his ultimate victory. It's wild how even decades later, the ghosts of the past still find new life, this time through AI voices. Recently, digitally recreated voices of Tupac and Snoop have been used in diss tracks, reigniting old flames that were supposed to be long gone. Suddenly, the same beefs that once shook hip-hop are being replayed in a whole new era, and fans can't decide if it's art or disrespect. But just as many people rush to defend Snoop, on Reddit and other forums, fans argue the drama between him and Pac was blown way out of proportion, fueled by the media circus and Suge Knight's endless manipulation. They say the tension was short-lived, not some deep betrayal, and that Snoop's heart was always in the right place. His goal wasn't war, it was peace. These supporters point straight to the music as proof. Tracks like Two of America's Most Wanted stand as timeless reminders of the brotherhood and respect that once defined their bond. They also highlight how Snoop has honored Pac over the years, performing with the legendary Tupac hologram at Coachella in 2012, and later inducting him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017. Those weren't publicity stunts. They were real gestures of love and loyalty that time couldn't erase. The truth, as with most real-life stories, probably lives somewhere between all the noise. The latest law enforcement investigations, including the 2023 case against Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, point to street retaliation, not record label conspiracies or Snoop's involvement. Authorities say Tupac's murder stemmed from revenge, payback for the beating of Orlando Baby Lane Anderson in the MGM Grand Lobby just hours before the shooting. No secret industry plot, no hidden puppet masters, just the brutal reality of street justice. Still, what no one can deny is the depth of Snoop's regret. Even now, his voice shakes when he talks about Pac. That guilt, that sadness, it's never left him. With every interview, every tribute, and every memory shared, you can feel it. Snoop's remorse runs deep, and that love for Tupac, it never died. These days, Snoop's all about generational wealth, building something real that lasts. It's a total flip from the death row days in the 90s, when everyone was chasing quick fame, fast money, and instant power. Back then, short-term thinking and ego ruled the game. Jealousy over a moment of shine could destroy friendships overnight. But now, Snoop's pushing for something deeper. Legacies that feed whole families and uplift communities instead of tearing them down. You can see his growth shining brightest in how he mentors the new generation, especially Kendrick Lamar. It's like Snoop's been rewriting history through mentorship, making sure the next wave doesn't repeat the same mistakes that haunted him and Tupac. The connection between Snoop and Kendrick mirrors that old bond with Pac. Teacher and student, both navigating fame, loyalty, and authenticity in a world that loves drama more than truth. And when things could have gone left, Snoop handled it like a man who's learned his lessons. In 2024, Kendrick dropped Washed Out Murals from GNS, a track that took subtle aim at Snoop for posting Drake's AI diss, Tailor-Made Freestyle, which controversially used AI-generated voices of Tupac and Snoop themselves. That move could have easily blown up into another massive feud. But instead of feeding the fire, Snoop laughed it off, posting, "Tailor-Made. I prayed." It was the Edibles classic Snoop, calm, smooth, and unbothered. He made it clear he wasn't about to let history repeat itself. The old Snoop might have fired back with bars or interviews, but the new Snoop, he's all about peace, growth, and protecting the culture instead of destroying it. That moment showed everyone how far he's come, from a rapper surviving chaos to a legend teaching wisdom. What nobody can deny is that Snoop has spent almost 30 years keeping Tupac's legacy alive, not through gossip, but through respect. From the legendary 2012 Coachella hologram performance to his emotional 2017 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction speech for Tupac, Snoop has never stopped honoring his brother's artistry and impact. Even recently, he's spoken about how Pac would have moved in today's world, saying that if Tupac saw modern activism, he'd amplify it times two. That right there shows just how deeply Pac's spirit still lives inside him. The Radar Online article that dropped on Snoop's 54th birthday in October 2025 reminded everyone that some pain never really fades. Time can pass, success can stack up, but regret, that stays. The regret of not making peace, of words left hanging, of friendship cut short. It's the kind of pain that doesn't disappear. It just becomes part of who you are. Snoop's been open about that wound, turning it into a life lesson for others chasing fame without understanding what it can cost. In the end, that so-called beef between Snoop Dogg and Tupac wasn't a real rivalry. It was a tragic misunderstanding twisted by the chaos of the 90s. Outside influences, industry manipulation, and street violence turned brotherhood into heartbreak. Even now, as Suge Knight keeps tossing out wild accusations and conspiracy theories continue to flood the internet, Snoop's not entertaining the noise. He's focused on what matters: building generational wealth, mentoring the next wave of artists, staying grounded for his family, and most importantly, keeping Tupac's name alive through truth, love, and storytelling that honors the man, not the myth. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And check out the next video on your screen for more deep dives into hip-hop's untold stories.